episode 94.
Are you ready to take your eBay business to the next level? Then hold on, because Ron and Ali are going to take you into the fast lane with the latest tips and insights from some of the biggest and most successful sellers here on the So You Want to Sell on eBay podcast.
Welcome once again to another episode of So You Want to Sell on eBay. I'm Ron LeBeau.
And I'm Ali Young.
Hey, everyone. We have with us today Cyndi Zlotow. And Cyndi, how you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Cyndi is a longtime seller with over 15 years experience. Her and her husband now sell on eBay as their sole source of income. And last year, they did just shy of $250,000 in sales. And today, she's here with us. How you doing, Cyndi? Thank you for joining us.
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
This is fantastic buyer. I just did $250,000, not much, just knocked it out easily. I'm glad you could join us because this sort of stuff is great. This sort of shows that you can actually make money on eBay. It's not that thing. It's not true that you can't make money. So tell us, Cyndi, how did this all begin?
Oh gosh. Well, when I had my third child, he was very, very sick and I needed a way to stay home. And so my dad said, hey, have you heard about this thing eBay where people sell stuff? And I went, no. And this was, back when not even every listing had pictures. So it was very much the wild, wild west. But we had stuff and I needed money. So and we happened to have
I like that.
a digital camera. We had kids and we happened to have a digital camera. So that was the thing to have to set you apart at that point. So that's how I got started.
Wow. So it sounds to me like the equation is stuff plus eBay equals money. Is that right?
Plus kids.
Well, yeah, plus kids. No,
is that the kids?
No, that's a minus sign. Stuff plus money. Stuff plus eBay equals money minus
kids.
Yeah, okay, I got it.
Cool,
yeah.
The kids take the money.
Yeah,
that's right. So
you're like an old school. You're like one of those back in the good old day types, are you?
Yeah. Back in the day when we used to do all auctions.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So you appreciate the new things that eBay has done and the steps they've taken to improve the seller's experience, right?
Oh yeah. There are lots of times I feel like your dad would tell you walked up to school both ways, bare feet. I feel like that because I'm going, you guys don't know how easy you have it. We were out in the stores trying to figure out would this sell or not without a smartphone. Nobody had a smartphone. You were lucky if you had a cell phone. I'd call my friends and we had a code. And the code was, would Aunt Edna like this? And so we'd call and we'd say, is Aunt Edna still looking for that record or this sweater? And the person knew that meant look it up on eBay and see if it'll sell or not.
Now everybody knows that, right? Everybody's listening now knows your code here. So you just broke the code on our show, right?
eBay was fun in those days. That's great. The eBay was fun in those days. You needed secret code to sell something. That's brilliant.
It's funny about that is you mentioned the digital camera, and you're talking about back in 15, 20 years ago when digital cameras were not cheap, right? So you had kind of mentioned, because, somebody listening now might go, well, cameras aren't that expensive. But back in the day, I remember when I did my first website in 1995, and I had a 2-megapixel camera that I had to pay $900 for to take pictures to do this website, right?
Uh-huh, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's the same era, right?
Yeah, one of my best girlfriends that I met through eBay started out with a WWF camera that then she would take pictures on. And, back in the day, you took pictures and then you'd take them and get them developed and you'd scan them in.
Right. Exactly. Wow, that's crazy. So we've come a long way. And a lot of people we talk to now are actually doing pictures and listings and everything from their smartphone.
Exactly.
Oh, it's so much
in
easier.
a lot of cases, people are saying I have it listed before I even buy it at the register, right? I mean, so
yeah, they do. Actually, they do. Yeah,
they do, right? I mean, it's just that crazy.
That. Absolutely, absolutely.
The technology is there, and it's really come a long way for us.
I'm actually spying on you here, Cyndi, and I'm looking at your store, and you got some amazing stuff here. So you're just mainly dealing in men, women, children, sort of clothing style thing, are you? You're not doing these weird dolls with one eye and stuff.
No weird dolls. Those are creepy.
They are creepy.
We do mostly clothing at this point. We have started to do more estate buys. Mm-hmm. We bought out a Disney collector's estate in the fall, and so we sold a whole boatload of Disney collectibles. And now we bought 1,000 CDs because we got a great deal, and so we've got a bunch of CDs. And so, you're always trying to learn. You're always trying to learn a new product, a new category. Where can I grow?
Right. I'm looking at the CDs. It was funny you said that. I'm on your website and your eBay store, and I'm seeing the CDs. You have 253 in stock right now, and I can see a couple of them my wife would love, and there's a couple of them that I'd like too. It's a wide
you just made a couple more sales.
They came from St. Louis, so
really
they could go back home.
Oh, there you go.
Probably belonged to you before, Ron.
That's awesome, man. I love St. Louis, and
So are you out there in the markets and the thrifting stores getting this stuff, or are you like the local lady that they come knocking on your door and Cyndi, we have a jumper or a sweater?
Mostly we're out in the stores. You can't do consignment in Illinois. There's some different laws and some different tax issues, and so. And at least that's what it was when I started. And so we've never gotten into that. Anything that we have, I try to just buy outright. So most of the time we're just out in the stores. But like I said, we do some estates. We do have people that will say, I know so-and-so and they have all of this. Would you be interested? So you do start to network and make those connections. Yeah,
that
absolutely.
Must be fun. I mean, that must be so much fun going out. Do you have like one of those pallets when you bid and stuff? You raise it in the air. It's like, $50, $60. Do you do all that sort of stuff like they do in the movies?
Oh my god!
Not exactly.
Ollie, I need to get to the United States, man. I need to get you here, brother.
I've just realized you're not riding horses. That's how educated I am.
That's right.
Exactly.
As he rides his elephant to work.
That's it. So, that's great. So, what's your average process? Because I'm really looking here that you take a good picture. I'm noticing that you must spend a bit of time in your pictures. Do you?
I take an awful picture.
Oh, do you? Well, I think they're great.
My husband, on the other hand, takes a great picture. And so we bring it in and sort everything, and then he does all the photography. God bless him, because really, when you can always tell the listings that I've had to take the pictures because they're a little blurry. It might be.
Okay, yeah, there's one and there's one. Oh no, I'm just kidding. No, but I'm on the neckties right now, men's accessories, and I like how he changes it up. Like he's got some that the knots tied and some that's roll up. It's just kind of a variety. It's really kind of neat how he does that. It's really cool.
Yeah, he's the creative one, and so he does all of that, and I'm data entry. So once he gets the pictures all taken, then we do the measurements together, and then I sit and data entry. List them all out. What are they? All of that is done.
So you both take on separate roles and get stuff done quicker, do you?
Absolutely. That's how you process as much inventory as we do. We probably ship out between 800 and 1,000 items a month. Cool. And so in order to ship out that many, you have to be listing more, so that your stores are going negative. And so in order to do that, you have to batch things. And so we batch as much as we can. If he's taking shirts, then he's going to take every shirt we have all at once. And then when if I'm listing shirts, I'm going to list just shirts until I'm all out of shirts, and then I'll move on. Anything that you can do that's a repetitive motion is going to be faster than switching from one item to the next.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
anything we can do to
that's
save
really
time.
good advice. That's really good advice because one of the struggles that a lot of our new eBay sellers have is they feel like, okay, I got to take the picture of this shirt, then I'm going to take it over here and I'm going to list it, and I'm going to come up with all my verbiage and my my text and all that stuff, and then I'm going to put the price on it. That's too much time consuming. if you take 15 items and you take all the pictures, then move them all over and you list them all, I think that's what you're saying is that, you just do it in bulk and just, accomplish the jobs as you need to, but you do it in bulk.
Exactly. And if we have items that we're going to need to research, we research them all at the same time. So that you're on eBay and you're in that category, it's just faster. And then when we do the measurements, my husband and I are talking back and forth. And so he'll say, okay, this is where I want you to list this one at, or this is what this one should go for. And then we're just writing it all down so that then when I go to list, there's no research. Mm-hmm. There's no slowing down. There's no starting and stopping. It's just bam, 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 bam.
So you got a full-on sweatshop happening then. So yeah, I mean, you really mastered the system. I'm sure that's because you've made a lot of mistakes, yeah?
Yes. Well, just a few here and there, maybe.
Just one I can think of off the top of my head.
That's right. But, I'm sitting there thinking, if you put out 800 to 1,000 items a month, what does your storage look like? I mean, do you have like a big garage in the back that you work out of? I mean, I'm just trying to figure out how do you keep that many items and sort them and keep them organized so that when this fresh produce women's shirt XL green button down front classic cotton shirt sells. How do you find that? I mean, so let's talk about your warehouse or however you do your workshop, and then also about how do you find the items that are selling?
For storage, we have a 2-car garage that we've retrofitted into just warehouse space. Is essentially what it is. We've got industrial shelving, and then we have bins. We are connoisseurs of Rubbermaid bins. And so we know the best Rubbermaid bin out there.
Cool.
All right.
And so every item then goes in a specific bin. And there are better ways to do this, but the way that we do it is at the end of each title is a letter and a number. That letter and the number coincides with the bin that item is in. And so when that fresh produce shirt sells, I'm looking at my sold list in the morning to see what I need to ship out. Okay, that's an A1. And then I just go to A1 and I pull it out.
Actually, it's an A3, but I know what you mean.
Oh, well, I'll be searching.
Amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. I mean, seriously, I suppose you have to be, don't you? And then what about listing then? So you take the picture, you get all the pictures done to you, and then you list them? Or
yes.
And then once they sell, you do like a 1-day shipment? You go out once a day, or you go out
Yes, we wake up early every morning. We're up and going by 4 every morning, so that everything that has sold in the day before and then up until 4 a.m. gets shipped out that day. And so then we pull it all. And for us, that's because we have kids. And so at 7 o'clock, those kids have to be taken to school. And so all of that shipping needs to be done before the kids have to go to school.
Dedication.
Wow, yeah. So 6:30 p.m. you're in bed probably.
We're doing this at 7:30. It's a little late for me.
Sorry. It's early for Ali. It's morning there. I mean, it's 8:45 there in the morning for him.
That's it. Yeah, I'm loving it. So you don't ever sort of dive into like men's machinery. You sort of keep into one sort of genre, really, yeah? I mean, you obviously know how much everything's worth here. That's why you're sort of staying with the sort of stuff, have you?
A lot of the reason why we stay with what we have is for storage.
Okay.
I would love to get into, vintage mid-century furniture or, paintings and that sort of thing. I know that there's a lot of money and we pass it up. We just simply don't have the room for it.
Mm-hmm.
And
right.
So you have to look at the constraints of your life and say, okay, you know what? I don't have room to store 10 chairs until they sell.
Right, exactly, because it might be a year.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And does everything sell? Really... I mean, you always, if it doesn't sell, do you put it out for a sale or something, do you? Or
does everything sell? Of course, I'm perfect. No, not everything sells.
Just take it back.
Well,
down
she
the
passed
shop.
that test.
Ask for your money back.
She passed that test, Ali.
Yes, she did. No, that's one. Cyndi passed that. That's good.
That's one. That's right. Exactly. No, very cool. I mean, I'm looking at, again, your stores, the pictures, Ali pointed it out, but you know what? It really makes a difference when there are good pictures. And I do see you kind of use mannequins and things, and it just makes it professional looking, right? So, you've got everything here. Now, what about pricing? Let's talk about that a little bit because, I don't know, you're in clothing and stuff. And I sit there and I think about, selling clothing, you go to Goodwill and buy clothing and stuff. But how do you really set the price? I mean, there's like I'm just looking at this Obey sweatshirt, and I'm thinking I have no idea how to price that. How would you price that if there's not another one on eBay to measure against?
With clothing, there's so much clothing on eBay right now that you rarely find that item that there's not been another one that has sold in the last week.
Fair enough.
And so for most things, you just check completes, check solds, and try to gauge off of that. When you do find that odd, one of a kind, I look at Terapeak, but a lot of it is just, I've done this for 15 years.
Yeah,
and so,
exactly. That's it there.
A lot of it's just experience.
And so to the person who doesn't have that experience, I mean, worst case scenario, you put it on for $24 and see what happens, right? I mean,
Exactly.
if you pay $3 or $4 for it, you make some money. And if it sells within seconds, you thought, you know what, maybe I sold it a little too cheap,
Yeah, or you put it up to auction. You put it at $24 and you put it up to auction and you let the market decide.
Right, and you learn every sale, you learn something, right?
Oh, yeah, and then you learn what items shouldn't have gone to auction.
I see that you've got a lot of items on auction, though. You like auctions, do you?
I like having a mix. There are some items that just sell better at auction. When you have an item that has a high sell-through rate, so you go to solds and you look at the difference between how many completed items there are versus how many of that item sold. Mm-hmm. So it's got a high sell-through rate. That item's probably going to do well at auction. It sells regularly. There's clearly a market for it. A lot of people are buying it. Those items, I put up to auction.
Ron and Ali will be right back after this short break.
Do you want to set yourself apart from other eBay sellers? Want to look like one of the big brands? How would you like to feel confident that you could do it yourself but know that the support is there if you get stuck? Now you can create your branded eBay store and have your store doing more. With Auction Pro Template's premium do-it-yourself eBay template. This template is loaded with tools and features you won't find in any other system. Go to yourstoredoingmore.com now to see what's included. That's yourstoredoingmore.com. Are you tired of stockouts? Are you done with overselling? Are you sick of wasting time with boring back-end tasks? If that's you, Ecom Dash is here to help. It's an inventory management and automation software system that helps your business run lean, reduce errors, and increase sales. Sync your inventory and sales data across channels, automatically forward sales to suppliers, and make your e-commerce business scalable. Visit ecomdash.com. That's ECOMDASH.com for a free trial and take 50% off your first month with promo code PODCAST.
Be sure to check out SoYouWannaSellOnEBay.com for the latest podcasts and all the information you need to get selling fast.
Let's talk about that again real quickly here because it's very important. A lot of new people are listening maybe and, and trying to figure out that formula. So you talked about going to completed sales, right? Completed sale listings. And you see, let's just say there's 4 of them there, right? And then are you saying then you go back to the regular listing to see how many are currently being sold?
No. So when you're in completes, you can click completed listings, and that shows you everything. It shows you the unsold items and it shows you the sold items. Take a note of how many are there. So let's say there's 4. And then click on sold listings. So now it's only going to show you the ones that are sold. Okay. Now, did 1 sell or did all 4 sell?
That makes sense. That's really sage advice because I automatically go to completed and sold. I automatically click both. But that's a great point. Just check the completed listings, get that number, and then go to sold and see how many of those sold. That's a great formula.
Yeah, and
I don't think we've ever talked about that, Ali.
But then if you can see that most of them are selling, then you know you're okay to go to auction. If you've got only 10% of them sell, then if you put that item up to auction, chances are it's going to sell for opening bid. Because there's and that doesn't mean that it's a bad item. It just means that there's not lots of people clamoring for it today. So you're not going to get a bidding war. So that's an item that you want to put on buy it now and wait for that one buyer to come in and buy it. It's still a great item. It's just a different marketing strategy.
I like that. That is really cool.
Amazing.
That is good information. That's really cool. So, yeah, okay. So let's see here. So you've been doing it for about 15 years, you said, and you started doing this because of a need. And one of the things that we often talk about is how almost 100% of the people we talk about say they started selling things around their house and realized how I'm not saying how easy it is. I refrain from saying how easy it is because it's hard work. But I will say most of the people say with hard work, the returns are, selling on eBay is put it this way, it's the least amount of money you can start a business with. You already have the things around your house. Start selling some things and see if it works for you. And you can maybe sell almost $250,000 in a year. I mean, that's what Cyndi,
just from your granny's knitting.
That's right.
But no, seriously though, Cyndi and Matt started by selling some things around their house because they had a need. And my question to you out there is, do you have a need? Do you have a need for more income? So, I'm not asking you to quit your job. I'm just saying, do you have a need for extra income? Let's start there. So if you made $500 in a month and you're like, wow, you know what? That wasn't a whole lot of work. I mean, or I'm willing to double the work and make $1,000 and $3,000. And, I could see it growing, and with the motivation, money is a motivator, I have to say.
Absolutely. And it's not rocket science. I mean, let's all be honest. It is hard work, but it's not rocket science. You buy a product and you list it online and it sells or it doesn't. It's not awful. Obviously, we enjoy it, but it can absolutely be done. And I think that's what people need to hear is that you can do this. It's just a matter of how much work do you want to put in? Do you want to do an hour or do you want to do 14?
Yep. And systems. I think systems are a huge part of it as well, right? I'm sure in 15 years, you and your husband, Matt, have really developed some really cool systems. And, you've developed who's going to do what, right? I mean, so we hear that he's the photographer, and unless he's not feeling well, he's the photographer, right? And you have your roles as well, right?
Yes, although even if you're not feeling well, you still work.
You're still the photographer. Get out of bed, you lazy.
I'm sorry, Matt. I was trying to give you an out, man. Matt. But if you ever listen to this, Matt, then get to work when you're sick. I don't care.
We're self-employed. There's no boss to call in and say you're sick. No.
You check the policies, and there's 0 sick days, right?
Exactly. But yes, you do. You figure out what you're best at. I'm really good at data entry. I'm good at the numbers. I'm good at running. I love to run the numbers. That's where I excel. So that's the part of it that I do. He's really good at taking pictures, and I really stink at it. So that's a clear, easy fit. You find out the things that you're good at, and then if you have somebody else, then you let them do the things that they're good at. Now, I did this for 12 years, 13 years by myself. And so I did all the pictures by myself before he quit, before I finally convinced him, listen, if you just quit, we can make more money. It took me a long time to convince him of that. But so I did do all of those things. And so then you do have to set up, I made sure I had a camera that had the thing so that it doesn't shake on you.
Yeah. Okay, let's call it an anti-shake. I don't know what it's called.
Yeah.
Some weird thing.
The anti-shake, yeah.
Yes. That was important in the camera when I was taking the pictures. Not so important now. But you find those little hacks, okay, I'm not really great at this, but if I take all the pictures in natural light, they're better. So that means I can only take pictures, during this time of the day, but that's what I need to do. So I'm going to take pictures during this time of the day, and then I'll list over here.
Wow, okay, that's really cool.
You've just sussed it. I mean, you've just sussed it, all of you. You've worked it out. So one thing that I know a lot of people struggle with, and so do I, that's why I'm asking the question, is time management. So you're selling such high volume. You've got such much happening, pictures taking, putting on eBay, selling, down the post office, take the kids to school. Gets a bit like that, I imagine. How do you maintain it all without killing people?
you know what?
You're assuming she hasn't, first of all.
Yeah,
right?
did you see the look in her eyes? She had that look like, well, maybe I did yesterday. But
Well, yesterday. You do what you have to do. And if this is going to be a full-time job, you treat it like a full-time job. And so during the day, during regular work hours, we work. And so you're not, going out to lunch, or you're not sitting playing on Facebook. I always say that if you were your boss and you saw how you work today, would you give yourself a raise or would you be fired?
I'd always give myself a raise, but that's me.
Yeah, I would give myself a double bonus.
That's a great point, Cyndi. And, to that point about, working full time and stuff. So I'm assuming Matt had a job before, he went full time. And did you have a job on top of eBay as well, or?
No, not since I started eBay. I did have a job, a quote unquote real job before I did eBay, but not since I started eBay.
And so let's talk a little bit about Matt and his job, and at what point did you realize that, we can afford to do this full time?
Matt worked in a corporate position. He was the regular white collar, go to work every day and the whole bit. And we never expected for this to happen, to be totally honest. We always thought, I would stay home and do this and he would go to his corporate gig. But he hated it. And he was commuting an hour at least each way every day and wasn't seeing the kids. And so as my business here grew and grew and grew, they kept saying, listen, you hate this. You hate your job. You can come home and that will increase the amount of listings we can get up and then increase the amount of income we bring in. Because eBay really does work like that. The more you list, the more you sell. It really is just a numbers game. And so eventually it got to where he was like, you know what? All right, let's try it. And really, I don't know that I necessarily suggest this, but that's what we did. We just rolled the dice and he just quit and we said, you live once and these kids, they're going to be little once.
Yeah.
And
that's true.
We get one shot with them. So let's roll the dice and see. Let's bet on us.
That's really cool, man. I love to hear that story. I do have a corporate job now, and actually I do like my job, but I do. At one point maybe I would like to do something like this full time and bring it home with the family. My wife homeschools the kids and things, so I do get the opportunity to see my kids quite often, and my wife. But I can definitely see where it would have been a nervous, kind of time in your life, because you're saying, the security blanket of a corporate world is wrapped around you, and you've got, insurance with it. You probably got a decent paycheck, that's coming in every 2 weeks. Absolutely. Sick days that we don't have now, apparently.
Yes, exactly.
That was one thing that Matt he didn't think through too well, did he? Now, so
didn't know about that.
Yeah. So I mean. But the promise is that, if we work hard and get more listings, and that, if we sum this up in everything we've talked about tonight, and you just, sum it up by saying the more listings you get on, the more sales you're going to make, and the more money you're going to make, that probably sums up the whole conversation. Now, everything else around it is important, but you do have to have, the more listings you get on there, the better you're going to do on eBay.
Yeah, it's like going fishing. Sense. If you put one hook in the water, you can get one fish. It's not a guarantee you get a fish, but you're only going to get one fish. And if you put in 100 hooks, now you have an opportunity to catch 100 fish.
You can look at it the other way around too. You could say, I only have one hook, but now I only have one fish in the pond, or you can add more fish to the pond too. So I can see it both ways.
I never get any fish. I don't know what happens with me, but when I've got 100 hooks out there, they're all become one.
Yeah.
No,
well, I'm with you because I'm never putting a worm on that hook, so it's not going to happen.
Too slimy. We eat them in Thailand, but we wouldn't put them on a hook. That's just disgusting. But so where do you see yourself in the future there, Cyndi? You want to expand this? You want to get more storage space? I mean, what are you looking at?
I always want to expand. I always want to grow. I always want to hit the next level. That's, I think, just... If you're an eBayer, there's a part of you that always wants that, always wants to see those numbers growing. It's just kind of who we are. And so, I see us diversifying more. I don't want to be just clothing. We bought all the CDs so that we could learn CDs. You buy your education, whether you buy it at a college or you buy it on eBay. When you buy a product that you don't know about, you've bought your education.
Well said.
And so we bought 1,000 CDs so we could buy our education. Now we know, okay, you know what? CDs are really easy to list on eBay. You scan that barcode and you can do it all from your phone in like 10 seconds. It's great. And so this, they don't sell for a lot, but man, you can list 100 of them in an hour.
That's really cool.
So that math works. Okay. And they sell. In 2017, I'm selling CDs every day. Who knew?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we're always wanting to diversify more. CDs are easy to store. They're small. They're easy to ship. So we're looking into more of those kind of products. What other product lines can we get into that we can easily store, easily ship? When you walk into a thrift store, where are we leaving money behind?
Definitely. We interviewed Gabe just last week, and he's a T-shirt enthusiast in blue jeans. And I told him, I said, when I go to Goodwill, I walk straight past those, and I'm not anymore. I'm going to get educated on T-shirts. He buys T-shirts for $3 and $4 and turns around and sells them for $17, $18, $19 all the time. And it's like, okay, I can probably do that.
One of the first sales when Matt quit his job was a T-shirt. I had bought a T-shirt for him, actually. It was his favorite band, and it was beat. I mean, really beat. Like paint stains and holes, but super beat. But it was from the 80s, and it was a real concert T-shirt, and I just thought he would think it was cool. It was 86 cents. So, I just thought he'd think it was cool.
Treated him.
Yeah. I love him. He's worth 86 cents. So I bring it home, and he looks at me, and he says, no, you have to sell that. And I'm going, there's no way. It's got holes in it. And he said, no, you don't understand. This T-shirt is from the last concert that this singer gave. He was killed in an airplane accident leaving the concert. And this is the last concert he did.
Wow.
And I went, you're kidding. That T-shirt with holes and paint stains sold for over $100.
Sure as paint and not blood.
I'm sure.
Jeez.
But yeah, so and I went, oh, wow. So T-shirts. We should never pass up the T-shirt.
I won't anymore, Cyndi. I won't anymore.
I mean, we've run out of time here, Cyndi, but I've got so much from you. You're really an intense seller. This is what we love about bringing people like you on this show, is where you're not just doing this small scale, you're doing this large scale, and you're reaping the rewards. I mean, $250,000 and listing hundreds of items. I don't know how you do it. Me and Ron are always honored to have people on your show like you, because we're just amazed at how you can do it and how much great knowledge you have. So, Cyndi, seriously, thanks for taking the time. I know it's your sleeping time. You're like, oh, God, hurry up, Ali. But thanks so much for spending your time with us. It's been really good.
No problem. I've enjoyed it.
Pretty easy stuff, isn't it? So we'll post all the notes from today's interview on our show notes page, which can be found at www.soyouwantasellonebay.com/show notes. Cyndi, before you depart us to your bed, how can the world contact you?
The world can I have a blog that I just started writing because I don't know why, other than I just enjoy writing it. Mm-hmm. And so my blog is theamazingtasteblog.com. So you can find me there. I post my numbers every Friday. People seem to be interested in that, and kind of try to give an insight to why are my numbers up or down. And then you can find me on Instagram. On Instagram, I'm Amazing Taste Store. I post photos there, of what we're doing, what we're selling, what our shipping looks like today, those kinds of things. So you can find me either of those two places.
Brilliant.
Because you have all this extra time, right?
Yeah, well, I'm bored.
Yeah.
Listing and blogging at the same time, 2 computers. Now that's a talent. That's brilliant. Well, once again, thanks, Cyndi. We'll put all those on the show notes page, which you'll be able to find on the website. Once again, thanks for your time. We've really enjoyed it. From everyone here at So You Want to Sell on eBay, I'm Ali Young.
And I'm Ron LeBeau.
That's all for this episode of So You Want to Sell on eBay. Be sure to check out our next episode or any past episodes by going online to soyouwantasellonebay.com. Also, be sure to follow us on your favorite social media sites, facebook.com/So You Want to Sell on eBay, and Twitter @Your eBay Podcast. Thanks for listening, and until next time, happy selling.
Have an idea for a topic or know someone who would like to be on the show? Let us know. Just go to www.soyouwantasellonebay.com/interview. We look forward to hearing from you. This podcast was produced in part by Pro VoiceWorks.